Welcome to the Savage Nation podcast, the Savage Nation YouTube, X, and Facebook show. Yes, it looks like we really did have a God's hand. God's hand was involved here on this amazing day that we've all sat through. And of course, Arizona has not yet been determined. Nevada has not yet been determined. But as of now, it looks like we have a trifecta. To me, it looks like God's hand was involved in this. I know you don't want to hear it, but something spiritual happened in America last night. And I think that it's very clear to everyone observing this that this is almost a supernatural comeback for Donald Trump. They threw the book at him and then tried to bury him while he was alive over and over and over again. And yet he survived all of this. We have a lot to talk about today. If you care to comment, I'm looking at your comments up here because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I pray that Trump does actually get vindictive. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd like to see it. I pray for it. Yeah. No, I don't want to see the gentleman Trump. I want to see anger. I want to see comeuppance. I want to see them get what they've given. I really do. You want me to just celebrate here like a fool? I would like to see all the judges that did this to him thrown in prison for violating the law, twisting the law, bending the law, turning us into a Soviet satellite. I'd like to see the vermin in the media who defamed him pay the price for what they've done to this country. I'd like to see the vermin on MSNBC thrown off the air. Remember, MSNBC, Microsoft, Bill Gates owns that network. I was on it 25 years ago. I know what it is. Microsoft and NBC together. MS plus NBC equals KGB. If you want to put it into a Godard movie. I would like to see some of these networks pay the price. I'd like to see some of these vicious scum thrown off the air in the very least for what they have said and done to this country. They called us garbage. They're the ones who are in the trash can of history right now. They are in the trash can of history, not us. So let's see, a trifecta. Let's see, we now have the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Does it get any better? It'll get better when judges like Judge Marchand are found out for who they really are, where they get their money from, and they are actually taken away in shackles, and their apartments seized, their furniture seized, their possessions seized, like what they're doing to the great Rudy Giuliani. Then I'll be happy. This is not a happy day yet. The devastation that these bastards have caused in this country to destroy borders, language, and culture has not yet been calculated, by the way. No, it's not time to drop the anger. No, you're wrong. It's now time to get angry. Wrong. You have it wrong. Get even. Get even. That's what I say to Trump. So last night, when I thought I was through, they pulled me back in. If you watched my program last night, I called Mar-a-Lago, and we have it on tape of my son was there. He was lucky enough to have been invited to the party. I wish I had been there, but okay, it was fine. I'm glad he was there. He's the future. I'm the past. So I got off the air as I was finishing up with you, and I was going to have a light sandwich, and I had one drink, and lo and behold, the phone rings. I had forgotten I had planned to speak with a reporter from the San Francisco Chronicle, and I said, wait a minute. I told him I would talk to him, and he rings, and it was Kevin Fagan, who's he's the opposite politically, but actually a very good writer. And he called me, so we had a conversation. I'm going to read what he wrote, word for word. So he writes this: across the bay in Tiburon, one of few conservative talk shows within a day's drive, longtime broadcaster Michael Savage was equally buoyant. Savage, who ran the longtime radio show Savage Nation before jumping to podcasts and YouTube, spent the early evening doing his live show with his billionaire son, Russ Weiner, piping in live from Trump's stronghold in Mar-a-Lago. He never held doubts about who was going to prevail, Savage said to the Chronicle. What's going on is the people in the middle, average people, are saying enough is enough. Trump has said things that are so effing stupid, we agree. But today, people will take someone who says stupid stuff, but it also has a track record. When Trump was president, we had low inflation, eggs were cheaper, gas was cheaper, people are voting with their pocketbooks. Harris is an empty skirt, unquote. Savage scoffed at fears by California liberals that their lives would be ruined with Trump holding the reins of power. Give me a break, he said. It's a one-party state, so how does that affect us? The mood was bouncy from the start at Trump's compound of Mar-a-Lago when Savage's son, Weiner, who founded the energy drink company Rockstar, phoned in and stepped out of the political scrum of around 2,000 people to talk. He was in the grand ballroom, Weiner said just before the polls closed. Elon Musk was there, Tucker Carlson. He's sitting right in the middle of the room. The stock futures just jumped crazy. All the markets are getting really wild, thinking he's going to win. All the women are dressed in red. It's fun. Can you go up to the president? Savage asked. What do you think? Weiner said. Make a schmuck of yourself, his father said. Right. There's like 30 Secret Service agents around him, security up the yin-yang. It's a very interesting write-up, folks. Very interesting. I looked at the Secret Service agents. They were some tough-looking dudes around Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And who's the podcast host I'm supposed to? Joe Rogan. Yeah, they were pretty tough-looking guys. In fact, I think some of the guards around them were Elon's own Praetorian Guard, incidentally. They're not just Secret Service for Donald Trump. I remember a couple of years back when Trump was president, God, it's a long time ago already, we were waiting in the anteroom to see President Trump. We hadn't been invited to visit. We waited in an anteroom. There was a vestibule, and in comes Elon Musk with his bodyguards, and they were tall, strong-looking dudes, I got to tell you. And they were very severe-looking. There's pretty amazing people. So he goes even into the White House with armed bodyguards, even then. Would you believe it? It was unheard of. So now you have the richest man in the world. You know, you could have almost predicted what was going to happen if you were a gambling man. And many people in the Bitcoin markets predicted yesterday that Trump was going to win. Bitcoin's gone through the ceiling. I don't own any. I'm a gold person. Only gold. No, I don't believe in Bitcoin. I don't care how high it goes. I have my reasons for it. I have a new gold sponsor who's great. I want to get it right. If I say the wrong word, I'll lose the sponsor. I just got the new sponsor. Karen, who's my new sponsor? Tell it to me on my show right now, because it took us a long time to find the right one. Karen, who's my sponsor? I think it's Colonial Gold. I'm not sure. Friends are texting me, God bless America, so cool, so great. I felt we were going to have a blowout. I told a lot of people that, and they were all nervous. Too big to rig. God bless you, Michael, and your wonderful son. A lot of people saying, thank God your message is now resonating across America of borders, language, and culture. Yeah, it's a pretty big day. It's a very, very big day indeed. And there'll be a lot of prices to pay for what they've done to him. We're going to make the Savage Nation hats. I know everybody wants one. I don't need the money. I'm doing it for you. I'm having it looked into. We'll make them. You'll order them, and it'll be sent to you. Everybody wants this now. Everybody wants the Savage Nation hat, and on the back it says Borders, Language, Culture. When I go to Mar-a-Lago in a few weeks, God willing, I'm going to wear this hat in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, it won't be a MAGA hat, but I'm going to wear this hat into Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump will get a kick out of it. God, I need this coffee. It's delicious, just delicious. So what do you think, folks? I was very negative yesterday. I felt very depressed when I started. I really did. I'm an emotional person. I'm not going to make up a story. I wasn't optimistic going into the show at all. I never thought this would happen. Never. But, you know, when you see a machine that is so corrupt the Pelosi Katzenberg machine in California. When you see that this machine is so corrupt that they won't even run a primary and they pick a third-tier candidate who was a wreck as a DA, a wreck as an attorney general, a wreck as a senator, they're not that smart. They're not that smart. They could have picked another candidate who might have won, incidentally. I don't even have to mention his name. But they picked her. She was not a good candidate. She was all wrong for this job. And people looked right through her. They looked right through her. They didn't like what they saw. They miscalculated on every level. We should celebrate today. We should all feel good about this because we now have a trifecta. Okay? Half the country is shocked. I hope that they leave the country. I hope that everyone on MSNBC packs their bags and gets the hell out of this great nation. This country is too good for them. Let them all go to where the hell they belong. Get the hell out of my country, you garbage, you. Get the hell out of here. You said you'd leave? Why don't you just pack your bags and get the hell out now? Go to the airport, you lying bastards, all of you. You're going to leave when Trump won? Why aren't you leaving yet? Why are you still here, you liars, you? All you did was want to panic people, the mentally ill people who voted for the empty skirt. At times, the place took on the air of a sports bar as victories and defeats poured in over the airwaves. When California was called for Harris, laughter broke out. No kidding. California is the Soviet Union of America. Adam Schiff. Can you imagine a state so twisted that they would elect a piece of shit like Adam Schiff to the Senate? A piece of garbage like this? A recent immigrant from Africa, Khalil Bari, 28, clutched an American flag as he quietly observed the scene from the back of the room. This is an article by Kevin Fagan. He says, I'm here out of love for this country. He said, everyone here is asking for a better United States. Can you believe this? Bari, this is an African immigrant, an artist by trade, does not identify as Republican, but he said the Republican Party best represents American values, freedom, hope, optimism, and opportunity. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? An African immigrant understanding the country better than most liberals do in this country. I was shocked, by the way, in the Ohio Senate race when I saw Bernie Moreno, who won. He's a Colombian immigrant, incidentally. That guy is really, really a good speaker. Beautiful family, beautiful wife. He has a great future in the Republican Party, Bernie Moreno. He was declared the winner in the Ohio Senate race. He beat a long-term incumbent Democrat apparatchik that belonged in the Soviet Union from birth, Brown, Sherrod Brown, a real fetid piece of work, that one. So Bernie Moreno, immigrant from Colombia, wins in Ohio. I was shocked that he was able to beat the machine. Then they interviewed Republican chair of the party here, John Dennis, who I met at a party a few months ago here in San Francisco with Chris Ruddy, who was out from Newsmax when he put on a dinner. Republican chair Dennis said, I feel like Washington is completely out of control. It's really stomped all over our civil liberties. I'd like to see a much smaller federal government. I think Trump is serious about that. All right, fine. Let's see. So it's still a one-party state, which is unfortunate because when I moved here, this was a very balanced state. If you can believe it, Marin County was actually Republican in the 1950s, and then it was destroyed when Barbara Boxer was installed by the rotten machine. It's never recovered since Barbara Boxer was put into the into office. Never. Yeah, there used to be Republicans in San Francisco. All the Irish communities out in the avenues, all Republicans. All the Italians in North Beach, by and large, Republicans. And then, of course, they rigged the system. They start the ballot in 6 to 10 languages, and the rest is history. They destroyed the city and the state. The only way the state could ever come back is with balance. And I don't see it happening anytime soon. So who are the big losers today? Other than Kamala Harris, who so far has not said a word. Where is her concession speech? What, are they still stuffing ballots somewhere? And they're going to pull it out of the hat again? I'm terrified they could do it yet. You don't put it past them. Oh, don't put it past them. Trying to read your comments is they're going too fast. Yeah, why doesn't Van Jones leave America? Let him get out already and go where he belongs. Let them get the hell out of the country. All of these people who hate the nation, hate our freedoms, let them go where they belong. So I'll read some headlines. I'll take your calls. Savage Nation, michaelsavage.com, home of the Borders, Language, and Culture. Trump in victory speech vows richer, safer, and stronger U.S. I put that up this morning through Karen, who manages the site. Trump said God spared his life for a reason, to save our country and to restore America to greatness. Jake Tapper's stunned reaction goes viral after Kamala Harris fails to outperform Biden in a single state. Fake crapper should be thrown off the air for being the propagandist that he is. But forget that. He's stupid. He's stupid. Any Democrat could have seen that Kamala Harris was not a great candidate. How about that famed Iowa pollster, that Seltzer liar who I told you was a complete fake? Remember there were 2 nights ago, oh, the poll in Iowa shows Trump's down. I said, bullshit. Famed Iowa pollster reacts after projection turns out dead wrong. She's a liar. A liar. This woman couldn't run a brassiere store in Des Moines if she wasn't part of some machine. She couldn't run a bra store and get the bra size right if she was not part of a machine. Before Rogan, before Elon, there was Savage in 2014. Trump boosts black vote, breaks Hispanic vote record. They're smart. And what about your good friend Zelensky, the grifter, that little con man bastard? Don't get me wrong. I have terrible, terrible, terrible feelings for what's happened to the poor Ukrainian people because of the leadership in the United States of America and the corrupt government in Ukraine. Terrible feelings about it. So the little liar, Zelensky, rushes to congratulate Trump, plugs victory plan and bipartisan support. Go away, Zelensky. You've killed 600,000 of your fellow countrymen, 300,000 Russians. 9 million Ukrainians have been forced out of the country for a war that never should have happened. You talk about a man who belongs on the ash can of history, it's him. Mystified liberal PBS news commentator loses it over Trump's strong performance on election night. Take a look at him, you'll know why. Then there's other leftists with stupid statements that the Founding Fathers version, that the Electoral College is the Founding Fathers version of voter suppression. These are sick, mentally sick people. These are Stalinist scum. That's all they are. Here we go. They're blaming Russia already for the victory. Moment stunned polling Nostradamus, who was convinced Kamala would win, realizes he was wrong. That Trump even won the Democrat stronghold of Miami-Dade County for the first time in like 40 years. It's unbelievable. Let's see this other schmuck pollster. Who's this putz? What an idiot. He looks like the guy that in the Bronx that you would have, what a moron. This is Alan Lichtman. Alan Lichtman. Having a total meltdown on his son's podcast, watching his keys unravel as he realizes Trump won Pennsylvania. Oh, my God, he's expanded in grief. Yeah, I'm getting tired. I'm going to sign off. Alan Lichtman. A real prize, Alan Lichtman. A red diaper doper baby from the get-go, in my opinion. So-called Professor Alan Lichtman, who had predicted 9 out of 10 elections since 1984, was wrong now. He was certain Kamala Harris would win, Lichtman. But as Trump stormed to victory last night, Lichtman's miscalculation was unavoidable. I'm not doing interviews. I'm done, he said. You know what? I know a nice old age home in Boca Raton, Alan. Maybe I can get you a nice bed in there. That's where you belong. Be the king of the assisted living. Walk around in your slippers in a bathrobe and tell everyone how smart you used to be. Go ahead. Just get off the stage already, Lichtman. You don't have the balls for this business, you. Where's Robert De Niro, who called Trump every name under the sun, a mook, a bum, a this, a that? Is he leaving the country? Is he going to leave? Is he going to leave? Is he going to leave with all the rest of them on the first plane out? Because they said that Trump would destroy the country. Why don't they leave now? I wonder where would he go? Where would Robert De Niro move? Come on, they're all full of crap. Made a fortune in the country he hates. That's all. All right, well, that's the news. There's nothing more to say. Let's go to Breitbart News. Trump Towers come back at the century historic victory for former opponents. Democracy restored. He's now 47. And we're all witnesses to it, says Joel Pollack. We are. This was this is an historic a victory. What are they doing in Europe now? All of the EU people. What about all the NATO generals? What are they doing today? Where are all of they? Switching uniforms today? All of the NATO generals must be switching uniforms today. So a lot of things are going to change in the country. Far-left activists immediately vandalized U.S. embassy. Latino men broke for Trump by 10 points. Look at that map. You see the red in the middle. The heartland versus, well, I call it the Corn Belt versus the Porn Belt. That was an old one from 20 years ago. So naturally, the Porn Belt went for Kamala, the empty skirt. The Corn Belt, the people who actually produce things that we eat, that we drive, and that we wear, voted for Trump. These are the workers of America. The coastal cities are largely made up of people who don't produce those things for this country. There are no factories to govern these Porn Belt states, like soft tech kind of things, welfare, high welfare. Let's see. Harris can still become first female president if Biden resigns. That's hilarious. Can they pull that stunt? I'll tell you, the person who probably is celebrating the most over Trump's victory is Biden, of what they did to him. I'm going to tell you something funny, and I've talked to people who agree with me. Do you know that if they let Biden win, if they had let Biden run against Trump, he might have done better than Kamala, incidentally? She destroyed the Democrat Party. She is such an empty skirt. People didn't buy the act of I don't stand for anything. They didn't buy it. At least with Biden, they knew what they were getting. He probably would have done much better. Maybe even could have beaten Trump, strangely enough. No, I'll dare say it. Trump might agree with me. Zelensky rushes to congratulate Trump. I got to read this article, that little con man. No, he's not George Washington of Ukraine. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky beat most world leaders to offer his congratulations to Donald Trump. He's not using his message to apparently express hope that the things will continue unchanged between Ukraine. Yeah, we're going to keep sending you billions of dollars. Are you kidding me? Published a statement calling the victory impressive and immediately launched into discussion on his own victory plan. Really? What's the victory plan? More death, destruction, and more money? Just send the geld? I can win. Just send me the money. The rush to embrace Trump and make a wishful statement, which has long been a Ukrainian diplomatic tactic with mixed success, comes after Trump has repeatedly made clear the sprawling Ukraine war would rapidly end in peace if he won the election. I would vote for Trump for one reason. I would have voted for him to end the wars in this world right now. There was no war when he was president. Write that one down. Write that one down. You had peace between the Jews and the Arabs, and you called Trump an anti-Semite, you sons of bitches, you lying Soviet bastards. The once and future President Trump told Breitbart News in August that if elected, he would negotiate peace between Kiev and Moscow before he was officially sworn in. It's funny because back when he won in 2016, I asked him that before the inauguration, and I said, would you speak with Mr. Putin after you're inaugurated? I have it on tape. He said, no. He said, Michael, I'll actually speak to him before I'm inaugurated. Now, I don't actually know, by the way, if Trump can negotiate a peace, by the way. He knows President Putin well. He says he's going to stop it. I saw an article that really alarmed me 2 days ago from Mr. Medvedev in Russia, who's basically the spokesman for the Kremlin. And I'm going to loosely translate it. I mean, I remember parts of it. And he said, Trump said, here's what Medvedev said from Russia. He said, Trump says if he's elected, he's going to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. And he said if he does, he's liable to suffer the same fate of JFK. He said the deep state will never let him end the gravy train. That's what Medvedev said. I was shocked. It really scared me. I mean, I said, oh my God, it's bad. This is what, we're celebrating now, but I'm still worried about what, okay? Let's just not even say the word. Zelensky signed bills into law Wednesday morning that extended martial law and conscription. Are you listening to this? We're supporting martial law. That's the democracy that Schumer and the garbage men are supporting. Martial law, that's where your billions are going. There's martial law. That's the democracy you're supporting with your billions of dollars, you moron leftists, you idiots. Oh, my God. Zelensky's victory plan includes unconditional NATO invitation. They don't want it. They couldn't win a war anyway. You think the guys in France want to fight another war? Are you joking? He wants to drag the whole world into his war. Okay, that's enough with him already. I'm more worried about my border. I want that border closed when Trump wins. I want the deportations he promised. I'm going to hold him to it the best I can. I mean, my own little way. I'm an unknown podcaster, YouTuber, few TV shows a week. But what I'm going to say is you promised deportations. I want to see those buses running, and I want to see them running around the clock for 2 years. I want every bus full. I want it filled with illegal aliens that just came into this country. I want them gone out. Goodbye. Adios, amigo. Out. We can't afford them. Get them out of here. And then while you're deporting them, deport the ACLU with them, so they can get the legal coverage that they need when they go back to their homeland. Put them on the buses with them. Let's go to the Jerusalem Post, the most horrendous anti-Trump newspaper in the world. Donald Trump wins U.S. election. These bastards were saying Trump is the worst thing that could ever happen to Israel. Can you believe this? Opinion, the liberal camp in the U.S. must undertake a deep self-examination. They need a proctologist to do it for them, not self-examination. They need a proctologist from Nigeria with a special device, not a self-examination. Benjamin Netanyahu calls Donald Trump's election victory history's greatest. Well, of course he's happy. Jewish organizations congratulate Trump for winning presidential election. Not so fast. It wasn't all Jewish organizations, okay? A lot of them hated Trump and still do. Okay, and then don't make it sound all of a sudden that every Jewish organization was behind Trump. That's a lie. It was only the super Orthodox that were behind him. The others, are you joking? Suicidal people. All right, not much else to say, folks. Putin wants Trump to end the war. I think he does. 600,000 dead Ukrainian men that will never come back. 300,000 dead Russians, according to what I have been able to put together, and 8 to 9 million Ukrainian people displaced from their own nation because of this war. The number one reason to elect Trump is because he said he can end the war. Let's say he will try to end the war. It's not so easy to do. You have a war party here, okay? Kamala said she'd continue the war. How much of the left really wanted the war to stop? I didn't even hear that. It wasn't an issue for them. Where was the anti-war party? There wasn't any. Where was Jane Fonda? Where was with the guitar? Nowhere. Let's go to Newsmax.com, see what Chris is right. Newsmax projects Trump wins, first network to break the news. Well, oh, you're projecting? I think this is from last night. Former Minnesota Governor Pawlenty to Newsmax. Experts underpolled Trump once again. Trump, first Republican in 20 years to win popular vote. Now, that's something to behold. Kamala Harris was the worst possible candidate they could have picked. She was not only a third-tier candidate, she was a fourth or fifth-tier candidate. Imagine that a popular vote win. Dollar rockets on resounding Trump win. Wow. The U.S. dollar. I kind of like it. I know it's not supposed to be good for the economy. I like that we had a strong dollar. I've always wanted my currency to be strong, not weak. Makes me feel good. I mean, maybe we can save this country again. Maybe if the Pawn Belt could just be snapped off the rest of America, maybe they can secede. Maybe Washington, Oregon, and California can secede from the West Coast and become their own nation. And let's see how well they do. Montana, that was a big one. Remember that was hanging in the balance last night? John Tester lost. New Republican Tim Sheehy won in Montana. I mean, you talk about a conservative state. I don't even understand how that was in play, how they could even have a Democrat there. But he won. The Republican won. Nevada, that's still up in the air now, right now. They're still seeing if they can print some votes somewhere under the gutter somewhere in one of the casinos where they count the money. Jackie Rosen, a pilot, human offal, Democrat. Sad Carrie Lake lost to Ruben Gallego. Michigan's still up in the air here. Bernie Marino, we reported already. Great victory. Thank God Sherrod Brown can go back to running Buster Brown's shoe store. That's what he deserves, like putting shoes on people. You know, getting down and kneeling down and putting shoes on people, like fake half socks. Arizona, Donald Trump are 52%. Kamala Harris, 47%. 90% reporting Nevada. They're still printing in Nevada, in Clark County. Well, you know the rest. You can read it yourself. The Pennsylvania victory for Trump was a huge one. Georgia, forget about it. I don't know how he did that. In that state, some peach of a state that is. How the hell he won in Georgia where they did that to him and what they did to Giuliani with those poll workers. That is the most horrible miscarriage of justice I've ever seen, what they did to Giuliani. You take two poll workers that Giuliani allegedly defamed. First of all, you have to have fame to be defamed. That's to start with. How can a person with hundreds of millions of dollars is not worth 10 cents? The two of them don't have anything in the world. Now all of a sudden, hundreds of millions, and they want to take Giuliani's furniture, his artwork, his watches, his sports memorabilia. That lawyer, if there was justice in this world, a lawyer who represented those two poll workers, I can't even say what I think should happen. It's up to God. So last night, I'm going to end it now already. It's enough. You could do the rest yourself. It's not over yet. It's just beginning. It's just the beginning now. You know, you look at this picture right now. Trump's not president yet. In 3 weeks from yesterday, that rotten, stinking Cuban judge, Marchand, is... How come so many people from Cuba are in such positions of power in America? You know, all of these people like from Cuba are in power now. Marchand from Cuba, he's from Colombia, I think. There's a lot of foreign people in tremendous positions of power in this country right now. DHS, wonderful human being, Cuban, former head of the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society running DHS, helped bring in 20 million illegal aliens. Yeah, who's Trump going to put in charge of Department of Homeland Security after this is all over to straighten the country out? Who's he going to pick as Attorney General? Look what those two have done to this country. Who do you think will be Trump's AG and who will be his DHS chief? That's what I was thinking about, you know. I don't know. I can't imagine. There's a lot of good choices. What will Elon do? What will RFK Jr. do? Trump said that RFK Jr. can do anything he wants in his administration. You think a guy like that wants to run NIH, the Department of HHS? I don't know. That's a big job. It's such a bureaucracy in there. See, I remember back in 2016 when Trump won, it was a very different time. Trump asked me if I'd like a position in the administration. He said, would you like to be an ambassador? I swear to God, I'm not lying to you. It's okay. I can tell you now. It's years ago. I said, no, thank you. I don't want to live overseas. I could never be an ambassador. You have to get dressed and kowtow. You have to be like Prince Charles. I'm like Michael from the Bronx. I can't be an ambassador. That's not, what would you do as an ambassador? You just go to parties? You got to drink too much? You got to know like where to put the fork and the knife? I don't know. It's just not. I don't. Who will he put in this AG? Who do you think he's going to make Attorney General? What's going to happen to the media after this? Will Bill Gates finally wake up to the fact that MSNBC is a cancer upon Microsoft? Will he fire every one of those fetid, anti-American, loudmouth vermin and throw them off the air and put some decent people in? Democrats, I don't mind. Give me a fair-minded Democrat, but get rid of those loudmouth, shaved head pieces of garbage that every day all they do is spew anti-white hatred every day on that channel. What the hell happened to him? Bill Gates. What happened to him? And what will Elon Musk do? Oh, man, did he come out a victor? Here's the thing. So before the election, remember Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He said that if Trump loses, they're going to destroy him. Remember what they were trying to do? What that piece of garbage, that twisted maniac on MSNBC, Rachel Madcow, who looks like she has mad cow disease to me. It's not because she's gay. I told you that before. I once had a lesbian bodyguard when I was on the radio. I have nothing against people's sleeping habits. I don't really care what people do to satisfy their sexual urges. It really isn't my business. But she's a mental case. Her mentality is that of a sick person, a very, very sick person. Not straitjacket level sick, but sick, mentally ill. Why is she on television day and night spewing such hatred? Saying just the other day that Elon Musk should have his contracts pulled, his rocket contracts. Who says a thing like this unless they belong in another nation like the Soviet Union? Right? So here we are, folks. So Elon Musk, richest man in the world, said that if Trump loses, they're going to destroy him. He went all in. You got to hand it to Elon Musk. He didn't get where he is by being stupid. Okay, he bet his entire fortune on Trump's victory. And that's why in the last 2 months, he went all in on Trump. And I said to you just the other day, he must know things that we don't know. They have data analysis that we can't even imagine with supercomputers that are bigger than the HAL 2000, if you know what I'm saying. It's a metaphor, right? He figured this out, that Trump was going to win. So he went all in, gambled. These big guys usually are gamblers. He gambled on Trump and he won. Everything he has now has mushroomed. Every one of his businesses, everything is going to go through the roof. And he's going to play a big role in getting this government, cutting some of the fat out of the government, cutting out some of the pork. So here we are, folks. He gambled and he won. And those who opposed Trump gambled and lost. But will they pay the price? How many of them will be punished for what they've done to this country? How many of the rotten, stinking judges will go to prison for bending the law? They used novel legal tactics in New York State to crucify Trump over and over. They drove spikes into his hands and his feet, and somehow he slipped through the spikes. They couldn't keep him on the crosses that they built for him. That man was on the Appian Way 40 different times. And he came down off the crosses and he won. And I'm telling you, it is God's hand. God's hand is involved in all of this. And if you don't believe it, I can't help you. Before I go, last night when I spoke to my son at Mar-a-Lago, he came on the phone with an old friend of ours. Who happened to be there, Robert Davi, the great actor. Robert's on X a lot. And he said, hello, Michael. Robert got remarried a couple of years ago. Lovely wife, baby. He moved to Florida, got out of the state of California, couldn't take it. So I spoke to Davi this morning around 5:30. I got on the phone and I picked up the phone. I called Robert. It was still dark out. I said, Robert, it was so great seeing you last night with my son. I said, I didn't even recognize you, Robert. I said, you don't look like a villain anymore. What happened to you? What, are you happy? He laughed. He said, yes, I'm happy. Married a young woman, had baby, great guy. Robert's a great actor. He's in 100 movies. But apparently a very good friend of Donald Trump. So I said, Robert, he said, I love your cooking shows. And he's an actor. He said, I love your cooking shows. I love your YouTube shows. He said, you're so good at it. I said, Robert, would you come on my God Talks on a Sunday morning and tell the story you just told me on this phone? He told me a story this morning. It was not even light out. I'm going to let him tell it this Sunday on my God Talks. He said he was in a hospital when he was 17. I think he was blind. Something happened to him. He was supposed to die. And he's a very devout Catholic. And his mother used to go to mass all the time. He does too, by the way. Robert's a very religious guy. And he said there was a healing She called some healer. I wish to God I could remember the name of the guy who was some saint who did a blessing for him. I got chills up my body. He said the next day he was healed again and he could see. I swear to God, I got chills up my back when I heard this story. Robert's going to tell it this Sunday on my God Talks. I'll get it right. I'd like to go visit this person. Maybe he can heal me. Oh, would I like to see the next 20 years? I'd like to see the next 4 years in this country. What's going to happen? Forget 20. I mean, I pray to God I can live through these 4 years and see this country. I'd like to see the ship of state righted. Right now, the ship is foundering like this. It's like tilted over like this. You know, now how much water can we pump out of this ship? How much water and how fast can we pump it out? How can we throw overboard the things that are sinking the ship? And will the ship ever be righted again? Can Trump do it? Can one man do it? I would say that the man's stamina is superhuman. I would say it was God's will and God's hand that was involved in that bullet when he turned his head to look at the Jumbotron about immigration. 100% sure, but I'm not so sure that the deep state is through with him yet. That's what worries me now. I'm terrified that the people who run this country behind the scenes don't want him to be president, even though he just won. And they don't give a shit about you. They don't care what you'll do. They don't care what any of us say or do. We don't exist to them. We're not citizens. We never were. We're nothing but a joke to them. I don't know what they're going to do. No, I just have no idea. Tesla stock up nicely. Good. That's good. I'm sure that, what's the name of the rocket company? Karen, what's the name of the gold company? I got to give them a plug. Why didn't she answer? Where is she? Did she? Colonial Metals Group, the only gold company I trust. No, I've been through a lot of gold companies till I finally found the right one. Colonial Gold Company. It is the only gold company I trust. I didn't want to get the name wrong. I got it right. Thanks, Karen. They just started with me last week. They gambled on me and they won. My good friend Tony Dinshow just texted me. I'll read some of my friends' texts. Should I do that? We got our country back. You helped make it happen, Tony. Thanks. Good to see Russ last night on your program. That's nice. Rabbi Dov Bear Pinson said, Mazel Tov. Maybe, just maybe, America has woken up from its coma. Thanks, Rabbi. He said things are looking good, God willing. Woken up from its coma. Man, that's well put. Let's see if anyone else wrote me. My old friend Giovanni sent a picture of Kamala Harris in a garbage truck with garbage bags around. Oh, God. Giovanni, come on, man. That's not fair. My neighbor said, sanity returns to the universe. That's good. Sam Gandello, I've had on the show, wrote Hallelujah, the great saxophonist. Don't think I don't have friends. I have 2 or 3. I can count them on one hand. I don't have thousands of friends. I have people who like me online. Yep, a lot of people saying, thank God there's hope for our country and citizens, go Trump. People are happy. They are really happy. They're just so happy that this happened. Well, I wasn't there last night, but thank God the next generation of me was there. He had a good time, great time. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I mean, in a way, yes. Who would not have wanted to be there last night with that energy, right? So, look, folks, we just won an election. It's a trifecta. But do you think the deep state's going to suddenly say, okay, we live in America. The people voted. We'll just stop what we're doing. Really? You think that's going to happen? You think the bombs and the munition manufacturers are suddenly going to say, oh, we'll go back to making a butter now. We'll switch our manufacturing from cluster bombs. We'll start making pencils. Are you joking? They have to be stopped. They're not going to stop themselves. So it's just beginning. If you think that the battle is over, my friends, it just began. Now, I'd love to stay with you for hours more, but I'm not going to do that right now. We've been together this morning for 45 minutes. I was with you last night for an hour and a half. and we'll see what happens. But the fight just begins. I got to go back to a book of mine. Say, why do you keep showing your books? Because that's what I do. I write books. I'm fundamentally a writer and an orator. I've written 29 books. Some of them are behind me here. See over there? I'm actually a writer, a real one. I said to the San Francisco Chronicle reporter who was covering me, and he's a liberal, covers the homeless issue. Kevin, I read his columns here and there. So I was saying to him things like, Kevin, I said, Kevin, I've written 3 best-selling novels set in San Francisco. He said, I didn't know that. I said, no kidding, you don't know that. No one covers my work here. It's like I don't exist. I may as well live in another state. So I invited him to dinner. He and I are going to have a dinner in the very near future up in a secret place. And if he agrees to it, I'll put it on YouTube. A liberal reporter from the real old school, a real reporter, as opposed to a psycho, like what's her name? Whatever. And we're going to talk. Maybe him and I talking will be a model for what could happen to the country. So anyway, years ago, I wrote this book right after Trump won called Trump's War. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for quite a while. His battle for America. This book should be a roadmap for Trump right now because everything I wrote in there is still accurate. That first American Revolution was as much a revolution of ideas as political institutions, just like ours today. And it wasn't led by peasants like the disastrous French Revolution, which immediately followed it. It was led by men of ideas. No one writes like me. And I wrote this book, and I'm going to say this. Look at the chapter heads and tell me this isn't the battle for today. I'm going to try and get this in the hands of Trump and his people again. I know someone who should have this, who sent this to him a month ago, which is why you suddenly started hearing the enemy within being quoted. It came from me to this person I know who's on the inside job there, not from the staff. God bless them, they did a great job. That came through. I'll tell you a real good title is Stop Mass Hysteria, but that's a separate discussion. Trump's war against the enemies within. Trading the swamp. Trump's economic war. Taxation and regulation with sellout representation. Infrastructure, the forgotten man. An America First economy. Chapter 3, Trump's war to repeal Obamacare. Why is healthcare so expensive? Have you seen the ads for drugs on every news channel? Every break, it's another medicine for diseases that hardly existed 20 years ago. That's where Kennedy comes in. Trump's war for our borders. The New World War, ancient mass population changes. The dream is over. Disease imports still on the rise. How about sanctuary for U.S. citizens? Trump's culture wars. Trump's war to restore the military. Oh, my God, is that a big job? When you see what they've done to this country in the military, restoring the purged officers. Do you know how many great officers left the military under Obama and now under Biden? They just were promoting based on DEI. Treat our battle injured, not sexually confused. Restore qualification standards in the military. Restructure military spending, all in Chapter 6. Now, here's a big one. Chapter 7, Trump's war against the war machine. Good luck, Donald. A man of peace. The liberal warmongers. Oh, man. The neocons, the war profiteers. The battle plan. Chapter 8, Trump's war against the rhinos. The party versus the people. A wall or a fence or a virtual wall. Trump's war to restore real science. That's a big topic. Look what Fauci did to this country. I don't have words for Fauci, but I think he should be in prison for what he did to this country. I've watched Fauci going back to the AIDS epidemic when he pushed that AZT drug upon all the people who were getting AIDS. He's always been a drug peddler, in my opinion. Trump's war to restore real science. I'd love to help him with that one, but I'm not into taking a job. I'm not going to work in any government job. Trump's war for the First Amendment. Soros's brown shirts. Sound familiar? Soros. Why is Soros and his son? How do they get away with this, what they do to this country? Soros's brown shirts. Good chapter. Trump's war for the Second Amendment. All quiet on the gun control front for now. The true causes of mass shootings. What about the drugs that most mass shooters are on? I wrote it. Trump's war against the deep state. Did Russia really hack the election? The phony honey trap story. Investigating the FBI. Can liberals read a map? And then I write the battle plan. But I touched on something here that I want to go back to. I may just jump back to it. Something caught my eye here that needs to be talked about this moment before I leave you. Was it this Soros's brown shirts? The battle for religious freedom? I don't know. One of these was in there. Beware the True Believers, Savage Solutions, all in this book. Okay, I'm going to read you Savage Solutions today. Why not? It's the end of the book, Trump's War, which then, by the way, was redone in my latest book, which really is a battle plan in a more boiled down version called The Savage Republic. It has the same battle plan. This is a great book. It's still available. This is not available. This is available, okay? But here's the battle plan, Savage Solutions. Tell me where you heard this recently. The economy. Well, in 1776, Thomas Paine wrote, "We have it in our power to begin the world all over again." That's just as true for us today. Much like those first American revolutionaries, we seek to both reclaim a socio-political structure wrecked by the government in a distant capital and build a new, better America for the century ahead. We have chosen our general. Here is our battle plan. These words are very appropriate right now. Here's what I wrote back then. It's still absolutely a battle plan. 1, cut taxes. First thing I said, cut taxes on shackle American corporation and citizens. Employment mandate for America. Foreigners need not apply. Immediately rebuild infrastructure through private investment. Then I go into the health care system. I don't want to read it. That's kind of boring. What did I write about restoring our borders? World War III is being waged by undocumented, unvetted immigrants. Start fighting back. Purge our shores of enemy combatants and limit World War III to Europe. Wow. Build the border wall now. Fire the bleeding hearts at CDC and restore sensible public health protocols. Abolish sanctuary cities and deport the illegal vermin who are killing our citizens. I wrote it. It's still true, my friends. Restoring our culture. Abolish the Department of Education. Use the bully pulpit to preach Americanism. Restore civics classes at the local level. Kill Common Core at the state level. Restoring the military. To beef up the military, man up the military. Help wounded warriors, not sexually confused enlistees. It's biology, not misogyny. Gender equality has no place in the armed services. Defeating the war machine. Stand firm on peace with Russia. Combat the war propaganda with the bully pulpit. Destroy ISIS and then leave the Middle East. He did destroy ISIS, but they're back. Bring our troops home from unnecessary deployments. I don't know where they are anymore. Defeating the rhinos. Punish rhinos at the ballot box and primaries. Make sure GOP doesn't mean grand old party, but government of the people. A2, Brutus. Trump must beware. I warned him in 2016, beware. I told him, and I see some of them are circling him again now to get into the administration. Restoring real science. Fund research by global warming skeptics. Promote conservatism over progressive environmentalism. Exercise caution and care in repealing environmental regulations. I'm an animal rights activist, by the way. I'm not for killing wolves and bears. I'm not for drilling. I'm not for unlimiting drilling in the tundra. I'm sorry. Okay, not at all. Defending the First Amendment. Root out the socialist propaganda Obama concealed in the National Defense Authorization Act. Jail anarchists who cross state lines to incite unrest. Shield religion from persecution by passing the First Amendment Defense Act. Then I write defending the Second Amendment. The problem isn't guns. It's mass shooters armed with radicalism, drugs, and mental issues. You know that many of the shooters were trans people on drugs. I'm sorry to tell you. It's not a happy thing to say. Order public health agencies to conduct unbiased studies on the side effects of psychotropic drugs. And finally, I write, defeating the deep state. Study the global agenda of the intelligence community. Back Trump's plan to end the new Cold War with Russia. Learn how to recognize fake news. And then I concluded this book as follows. It's a victory for you, my listeners, for all the years of supporting my message of borders, language, and culture for more than 30 years now. Make no mistake, Trump was reading from our playbook, and he did in this election, incidentally. I'm proud to have done so much to get Donald Trump elected, but the war is just beginning. There will be more riots, more propaganda, more backroom betrayals, and more international intrigue from the globalists. I wrote this in 2016. Here we go. Listen to this last paragraph because I got to tell you, there's more to me than meets my own eye. I'm going to close now with this paragraph. Remember, it was God's will that this underdog, Donald Trump, defeated the vast armies of the New World Order. We must pray for him and for our nation while standing strong against the global forces of collectivism. Those are my final words in Trump's war. I got chills up my spine because of the prophetic nature of those words. I don't know who. I want to call somebody right now, you know. What they want to send me I had a dream I was back on the radio, which I don't want to do. I swear to God, I was dreaming I was back on a radio for 1 hour a day. I had such a dream. I was in the studio and doing it, and I swore I never wanted to do radio again. Amazing. I just got a note from a radio person in the San Francisco area. We have 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. available on Wednesdays and or Fridays. Oh, no, don't do this to me. I can't believe it. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I want the responsibility. 6 p to 7 p on Wednesdays or Fridays. Wow. It's a station that died after I left. There is no talk radio anymore, by the way. None. Just not there. I wanted to call Robert Davi. Can I call Robert? It won't be that good if I do it on the phone. I want to ask him about the miracle healing from the Christian mystic who healed him. I knew he was a great guy. I didn't know he was that religious. This guy, I'm not going to call him. It's too personal. I'll do it Sunday on the God Talks. Look, God's involved right now. If you didn't believe in God, maybe you ought to. As I said to you before, why don't you practice the religion of your grandparents? Forget me, forget the people around you and what people will say to you. If your grandmother or grandfather went to church on Sunday, why don't you try it this Sunday? Even if you're a liberal, see what happens. No one has to know you go in there. Go in there anonymously. Go to church again on a Sunday. All you people who've given up on God, see what happens on Sunday and ask God what he thinks. Because if it was in your grandparents' DNA, it's in your DNA. Remember, you weren't born out of the air. You're carrying millions of years of evolution. Did you ever think about what we are? We are the repositories of evolution. All of our ancestors' DNA is in us, all of it. In these trillions of cells, it's still functioning within us. And were your ancestors all stupid because they believed in God? Were they all dumb because they prayed and got down on their knees like this? Or they put on tefillin? Or they prayed this way or that way? Were they all stupid and then you're the smart one? Okay, my friends, that's all I have to say. It's God's will what happened yesterday. I can't believe that I wrote that. I'm going to take credit for it again because I got to see. There's always something more to us than we don't really know who we are at the end of the day. Do we think we really know? You think we really know the whole truth of our whole being? I don't. Do you think it's ever revealed to us? Last paragraph that I wrote in 2016 in Trump's war. Remember, it was God's will that this underdog, Donald Trump, defeated the vast armies of the New World Order. We must pray for him and for our nation while standing strong against the global forces of collectivism. Truer words have not yet been written. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't read the last paragraph of A Savage Republic, which is currently available. I want to see what I said here. It's pretty good. I'm not going to read you a whole thing, but there's a plan in this book as well. broker a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia at the soonest possible means, withdraw from NATO, retool the military into a fighting force, not a social program, veto any budget that is not balanced. I mean, there's really good things in this book. But here's the last couple of paragraphs. My advice to the next president contains the main tenets of the Savage Republic. The theme that unites all aspects of my vision is peace. I seek a society at peace with itself and the rest of the world. This is the foundation of civil society and of Western civilization. The next president must be as committed to peace as I am, if we are to endure as a free country. He or she must be ready to fight with the totalitarian internationalist establishment to keep us from fighting to the death with each other. Peace is patriotic. That's pretty amazing. And I wrote an epilogue, which I've been fighting to cure our country of its liberal disease for the past 30 years, but I haven't fought alone. And I end with, now we are the mainstream conservative movement. Let's never forget what we stand for. And that's it, my friends. A savage republic, not a banana republic. If you have anything to say, I'm going to be back with you, God willing, very soon. Tomorrow, I have an interview with the great writer for the New York Post, Miranda Devine, which will be our Friday podcast. This broadcast, if you missed any part of it, is going to be repurposed today into a podcast later today, if you missed any of it. Please take a rest and take your... I know they're worried about me. I have a heart condition and this and that, but look, I'm doing the best I can. If I'm not going to be here for you today, I may as well. I don't want to just roll over now and say, I can't do this, I can't do that. I slept well last night. I was up, real early at dawn. It was dark. The bay was black. Then there was a gorgeous sunrise. Did you see my picture on Twitter of yesterday's sunrise? It was prophetic. It was unbelievable. It was, would you please go to at a Savage Nation? I can't believe that picture. When I woke up yesterday morning, not this morning, yesterday morning, I got to show you this picture. It was something I had never seen before in my entire life, a sunrise like this. Here's the picture. Look at this. Election Day 2024. It's a red, the bay is red. The sky is red. And people were saying it looks like a red tide is rising. A red wave is coming. People were seeing that. I'm telling you, there was a prophetic photograph. It was red water, red sky. People were saying, Michael, it's prophetic. It's a red wave coming. I can't believe it. That's just pretty amazing, my friends. A red sky. A red sky. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. That's actually a saying among sailors. Red sky in morning, sailors take warning. Beautiful God's paintbrush. I love California. That's why I'm not leaving here. No, it's not the last days of a dying republic before full-blown communism. It's the opposite. Red skies in the morning, sailors take warning. The calm before the storm, no, Trump won. The skies were giving us a hint of what was coming. And the natural beauty of California is unmatched anywhere on Earth. I remember when I first moved here, I used to say to myself and to people, we have 10 zones here, from the Arctic in the mountains to the desert in Southern California, out in the Palm Desert. We have 10 growing zones. You have everything you want here. You could drive here while it's sunny down here and go to the snow. It's just so beautiful. So, I try not to let the politics of the one-party state, bother me. I can still see the seagulls, the seals, the birds. I know every species that flies by. I talk to the birds, call me crazy if you will. They look at me. Birds are so great. You see their eyes. You could see how, say bird's eye. Where do you think it came from? How could they see down in brown water and see a fish? Would you wish you had vision like that? If you did, you'd be me writing books. That's a joke. I'm pulling a joke here and there. So my friends, I created the healingwheelsociety.org. You just go to michaelsavage.com and you'll see where I'm going with myself in the very near future. It's on michaelsavage.com, where you can see all my podcasts, by the way, are there. 700 and how many episodes do I have now? What a library. 785. It doesn't even say, just hundreds of them. And Savage's new spiritual religious venture, The Healing Wheel. You should check it out and see what we have there. And I'm going to put Robert Dobby's interview up there on Sunday with his healing from a Catholic mystic. I didn't know that about him. It's all there on michaelsavage.com, the home of the Savage Nation, where borders, language, and culture prevail. Now remember, now that he's won, he's got a rule. And we don't live in a dictatorship. But he has Congress. He has the Senate. He has the House. Do you understand we have a trifecta? And if he doesn't get this done now, it's never going to happen. It's a trifecta. He could virtually do what he wants now in the country. He wants to close the border. He wants to put the military on the border. He wants to build a wall. Do it first. He wants to get the buses running and deport the most recent invasion of criminals. You start with the criminals, not with the hardworking people, the criminals. Those who are put in hotels by the gangsters in these so-called social justice organizations, deport them all immediately. No more hotels for illegal aliens. That's one of the greatest scams in history. When my grandfather came here, no one was waiting for him with a $400 a night hotel room. He lived in a room with 15 other immigrants and worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, died of a heart attack at 48 so that I could have a better life. God damn it. I hate seeing these vermin getting these advantages in my country who've done nothing. They're parasites to come here and live like this. I hate them. I don't have compassion for these people. Trump was 100% right, emptying their prisons. What do you think we're getting here? The refuse that they didn't want. You deport them, deport them, deport them, get rid of them, all of them. Not the hardworking people who've been here for years. No, sir. In fact, you ought to grant many of them citizenship. I know people who've been here for 15 to 20 years who worked every day of their lives, Mexican people, and they can't become citizens. Would you believe it? And by the way, they voted for Trump. They didn't like this wave of leeches and parasites that Biden and Harris brought in order to vote. No, they didn't like them at all. I know hardworking Mexicans who hated what was being done to them. They would say to me like, Michael, I've worked every day of my life here. Why are they giving them citizenship? Right? Well, I should stop. For my health and yours, I should stop right now, right? Okay, so look, folks, I have nothing to say to you other than hit the like button, ring the bell, whatever. Go to michaelsavage.com and check out my latest podcast. What's the latest podcast? Trump and Victory Speech Vows Richer, Safer, and Stronger U.S. That's the podcast already? How'd we get that up so fast? I was sleeping last night. Oh, no, that's not the podcast. That's an article. My podcast is somewhere else on this site. Who knows? Who can manage all of this? Oh. Before Rogan, before Elon, there was Savage 2014. I had to blow my own horn because if not me, who will? If I am not for myself, who will be? If I am only for myself, who am I? Thank you so much for hanging in there. Keep praying. Pray